Hi, and welcome to Quantum Acacias. My name is DeeDee, and I just decided like I'm gonna do these videos a little bit differently today. Um, I'm using like a, I'm using like a like webcam things. My computer actually doesn't have a webcam. So as you guys subscribe, then I'll be able to go live on my phone, and it'll be much better. Anyways, very interesting to talk about this dream that I had about the Brotherhood. Okay. So, like most of my dreams, when I have them, it usually starts off where I'm kind of in the midst of doing something, and I have to kind of figure out like what is going on. Um, where am I? What am I doing? And so this one started off like that. And I would say like I caught awareness as I was in this parking lot and I was walking up to this kind of like church building. Okay. So this is like a very cute, petite, like church kind of hall situation. And I also felt like it was, oh, I'm also looking at my computer right quick. I also felt like it was, oh, my chair's really squeaky. Okay. I feel like it was in Pennsylvania or something. And I feel like that's been coming up pretty frequently, Pennsylvania, for whatever reason. Could have been like the district of DC as well, but like in that kind of area somewhere. Okay. And so I'm walking up and I am knowing that it's nighttime and I'm like going to a meeting in this place. So I get into this hall and there is this classroom. Now there's this classroom and there's also a podium, where the people that read the gospel and stuff, they stand at the preacher or priest talks at this podium. So there's a podium. So the interesting thing is that I kind of flashed during this, excuse me, and I did not actually hear the meeting, which is going to make sense in a minute. So I actually didn't hear the meeting, like consciously at least. So when I caught awareness again, it was the end of the meeting and there was this huge stack of papers, like so big. And it really honestly reminded me of, if you guys have seen the Loki series, where Loki is like going into the TVA and the guy's like, I need you to stamp that everything that, I have in these papers is everything that you said. And Loki has to like basically do his signature, which I think he actually did an autograph. And there was a guy I was listening to who said that writing your name in print, and then of course the signature is scripting it. So, anyways, it reminded me of that, and it was like this big old stack of yellow papers. Now, I actually do write on yellow paper sometimes. I have like this big old thing of yellow paper, and then at the end of last year, someone gave my husband like a pack of yellow paper and a pack of green paper. So I've been using this yellow paper. So, anyways, it was like my thoughts and ideas about something specific, and I couldn't remember what it was, but it was my thoughts and ideas. So, anyways, the meeting is like wrapping up and everything. And the guy who was speaking was Alan Thick. I don't know, was Alan Thick. But I was talking to a friend and we believe that that could have been an overlay layers of some people that she also is connected to. But it was Alan Thick, the dad from Growing Pains. Okay, the dad from Growing Pains. And then, okay, so I remember seeing him. There was also Tyler. I don't know. There's also Tyler, but I'm gonna get into that because I think it's symbolic. But it could be layers though as well. Tyler, okay. And I have been going to sleep like a few nights, and I was hearing that, put it in Chanel, that I've been hearing that song. So I had to like look it up, and I'm like, who is Put It in Chanel? Put her in Chanel. And it's Tyler. Okay. So she was sitting there as well. And we were the only two people actively a part of this with this Alan Thicke person. She's sitting there, and this guy is like, the Alan Thicke person was like, oh, we need you to not take any of these documents with you. And I was getting ready to leave the meeting, and I was going to take my papers with me. And he was like, actually, you can't take these papers with you because they don't belong to you anymore. They belong to the building. But I'm like, they belong to the building. How do they belong to the building? And so Tyla was involved because she had put some artistic work on there. So artistic work, okay? So he was basically saying that since Tyla had added her stuff to it, that it was not just mine, which makes sense, of course, that her artistic expression was also on these papers. And even though it was my ideas on these papers, that we had made a collaborative effort, and that some type of way he was trying to spin it, that now this group is a part of the building and owns all of it. And it was kind of like he was trying to say that, like, since he commissioned me to write these things, that he owned it or something. And so I was just like, I don't know about that. But you know, when I'm not sure about something, I usually take a break and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna just see how this comes back around, because it's obviously mine. You know what I'm saying? It's mine. It belongs to me. Now I can of course share with Tyla, but it also was not expressly written that because she added artistic work, that now it was also joint ownership. It kind of felt like to me that she had put this on there as like a nice way to kind of spruce it up, but I didn't realize that it meant that now she had joint ownership, which I'm okay with that. Like, I'm not, you know what I'm saying, because me and her can come to a agreement in this dream, okay, in the context of this dream, okay. And so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna. Now all of a sudden there's this guy that comes in who is someone that I used to know like in elementary school, and his name was Tyler. Okay, so we have Tyler and we have Tyla. So I was figuring that like there's the female Tyla and then there's the male Tyler. Now I know in certain organizations there is a role called a Tyler. And this guy I would definitely say was giving me that type of vibe. So he was helping me to put up some stuff. And he was basically going to escort me out of this building. And it felt like he did this pretty frequently, where I would come to these meetings. I don't know if I was forgetting. I mean, I must be forgetting them to a certain extent. And then he would, you know, bring me out to my car, make sure I got into my car. And then sometimes after we were off of the property, it was very specific, we would go out to like eat afterwards or something like that. So we had a relationship, like a friendship and stuff like that outside of this. But there were, you know, different methods on how we had to do certain things to make sure that I was off of the property safely. That's what I was saying. And so the meeting is wrapping up, and he's like clearing my my space because we had just eaten some burritos as well. This part is funny. Okay, we had just eaten some burritos as well. Now, as I'm still thinking about what he's saying and I'm processing it, I'm thinking about, okay, how do I gain ownership back? How do we gain ownership? Because it does not belong to the building. It belongs to us, at the very least. It belongs to us. There's this guy that comes out of nowhere, and it's 12:17. And he looks almost exactly like, what is this guy's name? And in Harry Potter. In Harry Potter. Nicholas Flamel, the guy credited with the Philosopher's Stone. There's a whole other conversation about him because I didn't even know he was in Harry Potter. I didn't know the Philosopher's Stone was surrounding him. Like, I heard the name, but I didn't really know like the association outside of Harry Potter. Okay, did not know that. But anyways, he looks like the character in Harry Potter, Nicholas Flamel. So he comes out of nowhere. I don't know where he came from because I don't remember seeing him, but he came out of nowhere. And he was telling me something, and then I was like, oh my gosh, I have to pass gas. I'm like, I have to pass gas, and we could like, please excuse me. And so my friend Tyler backed up, Alan think backed up, but Nicholas Flamel steps in immediately, like with no thoughts about it. And I'm like, why would you know what I'm saying? Like, why would you do that? Why do you want to be involved in my gases? Do you know what I'm saying? But then in my mind, I was like, oh, well, he's a philosopher. I mean, not philosopher. Well, he's an alchemist, so maybe he knows something about gas, you know, that I don't know. It was kind of interesting. And then I ended up waking up from this dream. Now, the interesting thing that it has me thinking about, right? Because I was talking about in some of the videos that I have not posted yet. So I will post them and you'll get the reference to them as well. That 2026, maybe I mentioned this in the Fates though, the Fates video with the Gorgons and stuff, that this to me feels like a Saturn year. Overall, the star player in this year feels like Saturn to me. And Saturn is, of course, connected to the justice system, along with also Libra, I would say as well. Um, yeah, connected to the justice system, especially in order, in time, and also in property and who is owed what. And it's funny because my husband and I were watching Judge Judy. Now I had this dream like 2 or 3 days ago. And so what I was thinking about in this, and I wanted to offer, is that it's very interesting that, in whatever capacity, there were these men that were trying to get a hold of my intellectual property and Tyla's creative property. I don't know what you call it. I should know what you call it. Creative property, artistic expression, those, that. And we were like 2 women, and we are not even allowed to be a part of this brotherhood, right? And so I thought it was very interesting that because they saw something of value, they were trying to rewrite their bylaws in a certain way to gain some type of authority authority and ownership over what we had come together and created. Now, I'm not entirely sure that we created this exactly specifically for them either. I think it was something that I was putting together and they became aware of. And so I was like, that's very interesting that they try to take ownership or whatever of these things, though, especially, in certain parts as a Black woman, I definitely wouldn't be. You know what I'm saying? It's like 2 X's. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like 2 X marks. And so I wanted to offer that as something to ponder on, especially if you're experiencing these type of energies in 2026 about what is just, right? So when we talk about Saturn, especially like with Judge Judy, Ray and I were talking about the different cases, and there are certain things that in life happen that are emotionally driven. And we love that. We love feelings, we love emotions and things like that. When it comes to the court system, when it comes to the judge system, they're going to go based on the paperwork, assumption of if you are feeling this, then you're going to do this, which is not necessarily how human emotions work, right? Like, obviously, there are certain decisions that we make because we like people or we love people, and we know in that moment this doesn't make sense, but we're still going to do it. But when you're in the court system, a lot of the time, they're going to go based on what you should have done, what makes the most amount of sense to have done. They're not worried about, the emotional aspects and all of these different things, right? And to a certain extent, they can't. So they have a lot of people that they're seeing. They have a lot of things that they have to put a judgment on. And a lot of the time, emotions in high stress situations can cloud what the actual judgment should be. So they really try to go by the facts and, at least the facts that they have. So I thought that would be interesting to talk about. I have not really looked into too much about like buildings owning documents, but I'm assuming that is a thing because he didn't say it belongs to the organization. He said it belongs to the building. Now, if they have spirits, in these buildings, that could be something, but yeah, I'm not too sure about that. But anyways, I might end up maybe doing a little research on that, and maybe I'll come back and talk about it. I wanted to do this one a little bit different, do it live, post it like that instead of the audio with the things. And I want to see how I feel about it. I might do some more. And I'm going to be posting other ones. So I'm not going to not stop. I'm not going to stop doing the audios, but I want to start incorporating more live videos because I do want to do also a podcast. Let me know if that resonated with you, if you've been having similar dreams or you've had dreams about the brotherhood. I'd like to hear about it. Okay, bye.